Hi guys, Mike here from KS Bushcraft Down Under. So the mighty Trangia 27 series. So Trangia market this as a 1 to 2 person stove. With the pot size, I'd say it's a better 1 person stove than it is 2. So I bought this one 1986, I'd say. This was the first one that came out with stainless steel pans. That was when we were having the panic over aluminium pots giving you Alzheimer's. And it's been a real worker. It really has. It's done great work. And the joy of the stainless steel pans is you can use them as bowls or anything like that. Now my recent road trip, I'd set up a base camp with all my gear, and I just wanted a few cups of coffee on the road. So I used my Trangia Westwind out of my bushcrafting kit. And it was that windy, and we live in Western Australia, we often say windy always, that you had to use my Max-Track recovery boards to shield it from the wind or use it inside my troop carrier. So I was thinking really I should have a windproof stove, and boy, I've got one. Anyway, I was walking past the thrift store, and this was in the window, for 10 Australian dollars, which is about $6 US, and I thought, I've got to have it. So I thought, great, a chance to do a side-by-side, see how things have changed in more than 30 years. And straight off the bat, the older kit here weighs 892 grams with a Teflon coated fry pan. This one is 697, so nearly 200 grams lighter. Okay. So more in common than differences. Now, Teflon pan, the original one came with this kit with a stainless steel frame, and it couldn't fry anything. It just stuck on instantaneously. So if you're going to do a bit of sauteing in the field, I'd upgrade to a Teflon pan. So that fry pan is 156 grams. This one here, which I tend to think more of as a plate, is 83 grams. And the stainless steel was about 146. I've still got it. So useful as a plate and a lid when you're cooking, by the way. So pot grippers, both 49 grams, so there's been no changes with those. Appear to be exactly the same. Originally with this one I wrapped it in tape, which is long worn off. Then I filed these edges because they were sharp enough, it was biting the Teflon coating off the fry pan. And this one doesn't appear to have any sharp edges, but I would give that a bit of a rub down with a file. So basically the same height and windshields. Now the burners, they come in a plastic bag for a reason. The brass burner will react with aluminium pots. So it'll give it galvanic corrosion. So this will heat that pot. So keep it in the bag. So I don't think there's been any change in the designs of the burner. So yeah. Maybe a slight difference there where it's crimped. But there is 6 grams difference. So on the older one, the burner weighs in at 112 grams, and the new one is 6 grams heavier, surprisingly. So I went through the measurements a few times, and the snuffer or simmer ring was 2 grams heavier, so it must be a slightly heavier gauge material. The screw cap, 2 grams heavier. And the base is 2 grams heavier. So I can understand that the felt wick inside the older one maybe has been consumed up, that's why it's a bit lighter. But every part of the component was 2 grams lighter. So, now you can, some people do carry fuel in it. I've never been a great fan of that. You're relying on the O-ring. But I mean, brutally reliable in these situations. Now, when I first bought this, it was advertising with 2 1-litre pots. Not much has changed, by the way. And so these are completely stainless on both sides, not Duracell. Now the inner pot has a weight of 117 grams. The inner on the aluminium is 78 grams, so significantly lighter. Now the volume on this one and its outer component is both 830 ml, so nowhere near a litre. Yeah? On the modern pair, there's a level mark, or two level marks on the inside, and it's got a volume on the inner of 900 ml, and the outer pan weighs 81 grams, and the outer pan's got a volume of 920, so still not a litre, and that's basically as much water as I could do in my home kitchen and get it on. So I'd like to see the pans actually being like 1100 ml, so you can actually use a full litre. So that's where Trangia falls down. I can't see why these pots just could not be a bit bigger. It would certainly nest, yeah? So I mean, for those that don't know, the burner legs drop down and she sits like that. So when we compare it to, say, the older one, there is a difference in height and how far the pans stand up. Oh, you're getting this there. So when it comes to like grippering it off, the more modern one, no problems. This one I've actually got to come into the windscreen to achieve that. So I said this box was probably rushed into production in the 80s. So one thing I like about Trangia is you can get the hearts for it, yeah? So I may get a nice hard anodized pot for that. So upper windscreens appear to be pretty much identical. Now the change they did make, so the upper windscreen on the older model is 184 grams, on the newer one 168, so they've lightened it somewhat. Now it's got 3 cutouts on the base of the windscreen. This is to allow it to lock to the base, which the older ones didn't do that. So the lower is significantly lighter on the newer model. So the lower is 144 on the old ones and 114. I left the straps on just for consistency. So on the older one, it feels more solid. So this is with 30 years of travel, cars, backpacks, and it's still held its shape. It hasn't deformed. So I don't know about this base, but I mean, it wouldn't be hard to knock it back into shape. It's certainly a reliable system. So these notches are punched in and cut through, and look there. There's a bit of tearing where it's been done. I can't see it being an issue, but just thought it looks a bit naff. So it drops down, turns it round, and it locks. This one doesn't. Now, when I've seen guys trying to snuff these burners out, so when it's running, if you've got the pan legs down and you want to turn it off, you've got to reach in here and the flames, of course, are coming up. That's a mug's move, that. Now, with the older one, I'll just lift it straight up, so that this one I'll have to index it to come up, and then you can come in from the side and snuff it. So, it's a great stove system, no matter what anyone says. You know, they're a storm cooker, and they really are. Now, I do have an older model gas conversion of this for canister gas, which really makes these thump when they're on the saucepan mode, not so much on the fry pan mode. I've tested it both ways and they don't. But interesting to see what's changed and what hasn't in more than 30 years. Anyway guys, if you like this type of content and it helps you make the right decision, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.